Hello, everyone. So welcome to our candidate discussion. Today we have all of our four candidates. Could we please get a quick introduction from everyone in alphabetical order, starting with Althea?
Hi everyone, my name is Althea Lee. I'm from 11 Respect and I'm running to be your school captain.
All right, Andre, you're next.
Hello everyone, my name is Andrea Makatira. Most people just call me Dea or Day. I'm from 11 Humility and I'm also one of your candidates for school captain.
All right, Kelly.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly Grace Lee from 11 Humility, running to become your school captain and with the motto Kel Yes.
And last but not least, Shania. Oh, sorry.
Hi everyone, I'm Shania Dinata and I'm also one of your candidates for school captain and I'm from 11 Humility.
All right, Kati, you want to quickly brief us about how the discussion is going to work this year?
All right, so this year we will be asking you 4 questions each. 2 of them will be common, meaning all 4 of you will get the same question, and 2 of them will be questions that you got from the forums actually. And you'll each have about 1 minute to 2 minutes to answer them however you see fit. So we'll just get right into it. Sabe, you want to start us off?
All right, sure. So the first question for all 4 of you is, it's quite common for not all campaign promises to be kept after being elected. How will you be able to guarantee to us that you'll be able to keep your campaign promises, especially your bigger promises? So let's start with Kelly first.
So all my campaign policies that I put up is something that I truly believe in and it's something I genuinely want to see happen. Like for example, I think one of my bigger ideas that is to reach out to the students would be the open project-based signups, which is basically in SRC projects that require your expertise that it'll be open for the entire student body to join. I truly believe in this because we have a lot of projects, example, MC, we need a funny personality, or example, recently, the Minecraft school, Alandra did that and it was amazing. See, if I had to make a Minecraft school, for me, it would be tedious and it'll be difficult. But to Alandra, it could have been a really good opportunity for her to showcase her skills. And I truly believe in this. So I will make sure that I actually send out these forms and keep my promises. And there are also such things like game night. It's something I truly believe in also. So since I really believe in these things and so yeah, I'll definitely keep my promises.
All right, next up, Althea.
Thank you for your question. So just to answer, I think I'm a firm believer in if you want to achieve something, you need communication. And well, some of you may know that, I have a really close relationship with my dad. We hang out and we talk a lot. And I actually think that this relationship can help us achieve our goals in implementing some of the ideas that I have, such as having silent rooms and having tie-in charger rental services. Because this way, constant communication allows us to better implement our ideas. The teachers can actually hear what we want to implement in school. Students can actually be better understood by the teachers. And that way it leads to less misunderstandings. Making our ideas an actual reality. And second of all, one thing I want to sort of build in ACS and actually help implement the ideas is through connecting with students individually. I feel like this is especially important because this way students can actually contribute their input and their opinions into what they actually want to see. And though it sounds crazy, it isn't impossible.
All right, next, Shania.
Okay, so I can ensure that all the events and things that I've promised can actually happen because I've actually ran a few of my ideas through Ms. Carmen and through our school captains, and a few of my ideas are the ones that are less plausible I've already taken out. So everything that I promised that I would do next year, I've already thought it through. I already have all the logistics. And I think that everything is very plausible because a lot of things I promised, like a charity run, has been implemented before a few years ago. And I think clubs happening in different days is not that much of a stretch. I think that's really plausible as well. And as well as the cooking competition, I think Sabian just wasn't able to do it because of the current situation in quarantine, not because he actually didn't fulfill his promise. So I think that everything I promise I'll be able to do because I've had past experiences creating projects before, like UN Day and AC Got Talent. So I think from those experiences, I can already kind of know what it's like creating a new event.
All right, last but not least, Andrea.
Thanks, Avian. So I would like to start my answer by saying that I'm not perfect. I know that I cannot and will not be a perfect leader. However, one thing that I can tell you guys is that I will strive my hardest to be a great leader for all of you, not just for the students, but also for the teachers and staff members, and basically everyone in ACS. So to answer the question, I would first like to point out that I'm currently not only a part of the SRC, but I'm also a part of several NGOs outside of ACS. And I'm actually also the leader to several of these NGOs, about two or three of them. And being the leader of these NGOs, I was able to create certain events, plan these events, and also carry those events out. So I believe that my role as a leader in these NGOs and carrying out those events is proof that whatever I promised you guys, it's things that are actually under my control. And it's actually things that I can carry out. And another reason is that I'm a person of my word. Most of the people who know me, especially my friends, they know that if I promise them something, then I will keep that promise. I'm not someone who would lie or say things just for popularity or for views because I don't believe in that. I believe that to gain a certain audience or people, the one way to do it is through being genuine and through being honest and just being open with your members and everyone who's viewing you.
All right, thank you guys. So for the next common question, in this current situation, the pandemic, lockdown, we don't know when it's going to end. So let's say you go into your term and we're still all online. How would you make the SRC as effective as it was, under physical conditions, person to person going to school? Who wants to get first? All right, Althea?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And if you were there in the SRC preliminary speeches, I did mention there was this buddy program called Big Little Buddies that I really want to implement in the SRC. Because truth be told, when I was in the SRC, I never really had a mentor or someone to guide me through it. Sometimes I felt a bit alone, but then I think this is something that we can really implement. It's a feasible idea, especially in the coronavirus pandemic. Pairing one senior with a junior can be done online. It can be done in WhatsApp and Zoom. And it helps the SRC feel like they actually have a purpose there. It makes them feel welcome, makes them feel connected, and that they actually have a identity in the SRC. So to answer your question, yeah, I would definitely implement the Big Little Buddies program for all the SRC members.
Shania?
Yeah, so I think another idea that we could do is actually be more communicative with a lot of our newer SRC members, especially since right after they got recruited into the SRC, we went into lockdown. So we can have more frequent meetings with them, and we can actually have meetings where we just talk about games or just talk about life in general or give advice, not just about work. We have more frequent updates, and as well because I think I was in charge of this program called New Student Integration, and from that Zoom, we were able to talk to a lot of the newer students, and I thought that it was relatively effective. So I think maybe we can implement something like that also for the SRC.
And Kel?
So yeah, like Shania said, I think we could do more game nights because games are something that really connects us. And more than ever in quarantine, mental health is something that's really important. So how can we improve this is definitely community. And how can we find our community? And it's definitely by empowering the clubs because we have so many clubs, strategic games club, astronomy, just to name a few. And I feel like they're not getting the exposure needed. So how can we like make sure people who are in our school find their community that suits them the best? So we can do this by actually doing small workshops like maybe chess or like sharing baking recipes online. So people can join these activities and teachers too, so they can both do activities they enjoy and connect. Something I did back then when I was in student opportunities in the SRC was a calligraphy workshop. We brought back an alumni back then was Jessica Tanto, and teachers and both students could join this workshop, and together like we learned calligraphy, and we also got advice from going through IGCSE, IB, and it was very effective and helpful. So I believe by having more of these small workshops, it can better connect people and yeah, remind that we're all in this together. And even though it's difficult, we can do this. Oh, and these ideas are also implementable when we come back to school, not only in during quarantine.
Okay, so from listening to the other candidates' answers, I also agree with what they have mentioned about communication and prioritizing the well-being not only of the SRC members but of the student body and school body in general. So I feel that by doing this, we would have to like make not only game nights or games for the SRC members, but maybe like an event where all students and teachers are able to have like the opportunity to talk to each other, to just bond and basically just effectively communicate, because I truly believe that now, especially for the new students, it's been pretty difficult for them to like meet new people, branch out, because again, we're online. It's very difficult, especially for people who aren't as extroverted as some. So I feel like if we create events such as like an online orientation, or maybe events such as an e-cup where they will be able to join esports or other online games, then it would give them the opportunity to just branch out and talk to more people and meet new people.
All right. Thank you guys. Now we're going to move on to our specific questions. So the first specific question is for Andrea and was asked in the forums. The SRC has tried to go plastic free about a year or two ago for environmental reasons, obviously. However, this was rejected by the school because even if we went plastic free, many cafeteria vendors depend on plastic as a cheap resource. How do you plan to pass this event despite this limitation of many cafeteria vendors?
So the event that I proposed was a plastic-free month. Again, a plastic-free month doesn't mean that the students would have to stop using plastic for an entire year, but it's just to promote like ways in which they would be able to contribute to the environment and just make the environment surrounding us a better place for all. So again, a plastic-free month doesn't mean for a plastic-free month doesn't refer to the students having to completely leave the use of plastic, leaving the vendors like at a disadvantage. But it just means, but the main priority of that event is just to raise awareness and show students that there is a possible like method or alternative that they could take instead of just using plastic in their everyday lives.
All right, thanks, Dea. The next question is for Althea. So someone submitted a question and they asked that this was proposed 2 to 3 years ago. However, the tie rental was proposed 2 to 3 years ago, but the school rejected the idea because it promoted irresponsibility, and their opinion has and won't change on this, despite much negotiation. So how do you plan to pass this proposal?
Thank you for your question. I think that's a really great question. Just to answer it, to start off, I feel like, first of all, we need to explore the opportunity of people's mindset changing. And we shouldn't always focus on the past and negativity. Instead, we should look towards a more optimistic future. So definitely, if I get elected as school captain, I will put in my best foot forward to try to implement these ideas. And once again, reiterating this, I feel like the connection with teachers that I've built and with students as well, this will help bridge all the misunderstandings. There's so much miscommunication between teachers and students. I know I have friends in ACS, and I have friends that are teachers too, and I've heard both sides. And honestly, no one's in the wrong. Everyone has their own opinion, and everyone genuinely cares about the school. So I think that really focusing on this bridge and focusing on this communication and connection will help sort of alleviate and eliminate all these misunderstandings. So just to simplify my answer and sort of clarify it, communication and to eliminate misunderstandings. That will help change the mindset of people and the ACS community, just looking towards a more optimistic future.
So would you say that the idea of not bringing a tie to school is irresponsible is a misunderstanding? And based off that concept, you're going to tell them, oh, it's a misunderstanding, and therefore the tie rental should be an okay initiative.
Okay, so for example, if teachers think that bringing a tie to school is irresponsible, I do see where they're coming from, but everyone makes mistakes. There are some days when we show up to work or show up to school and we just forget something, or something's out of place. We have good days and we have bad days. So that would be my answer to the teachers who have concerns about advocating for irresponsibility. But I think that instead of focusing on the negative side of things, such as focusing on disadvantages or focusing on the weaknesses, we should focus on how to overcome these. We should focus on how to sort of improve the community and sort of eliminate these flaws that are in our ACS Jakarta school.
All right, thanks, Althea.
All right, thanks, Althea. The next question is for Shania. So you mentioned that about the cooking competition, and as you know, that I kind of had the idea last year. Actually, I was planning to have this cooking competition during Teachers' Day, as an event as part of Teachers' Day. But I now know how unfeasible it is given the hygiene and facility availability issues at school. How do you plan to have a cooking competition with these limitations on hand?
I think that a cooking competition is quite similar to the food portion of UN Day, which I was the head of. And I think I can handle the logistics of the cleanliness and the hygiene aspect of the food by making sure everyone's wearing gloves and making sure that the tables are clean or covered in plastic or something beforehand. So I think if we ensure that everyone is not using their hands, everyone wash their hands before and everything like that, I don't think hygiene will be that big of an issue.
This is despite the fact that there are no available sinks near any of the workstations. Would that be correct?
I think that even though there's not any available sinks, we can set it up quite closely to where the sinks are, just like where we do UN Day, where we do it in front of the stalls that are not that doesn't have any vendors selling there. So we can set up the station there, and then we can clear the tables to the side so there is more space. So then they're not that far away from the sink. And then also, if they're not using their hands that much, I think they don't have to wash their hands every single time if they're not getting it dirty.
All right, thanks, Shun. So, Kel, talking about your Talk to SRC program, considering that this depends on people sending in questions and their concerns, how do you aim to make this program a success, considering that many similar programs, we've initiated many of these and they haven't really worked out so far? The suggestion box from the 11th and 12th SRC, the Google Forms, and even the current suggestion box on AC Roar.
Definitely. So how I thought about this talk to SRC idea was to actually town hall. Like during town hall, we come in every morning, and it's in the morning. People are tired, and I really don't want town hall to become something a chore. I wanted something actually useful for the students. And how can we do this? Is that I feel like students have questions. Definitely in quarantine, they're asking when can we come back to school, will there be a hybrid learning, or what's happening. There's a lot of these questions, and they don't necessarily straight away ask us, but they do ask our friends and SRC members. So what we can do is actually come to them personally one by one, like, hey, how's school, what's wrong, and we can actually like post on Instagram these common questions. So they don't necessarily have to submit these questions, but we can start by taking initiative, like actually thinking of concerns that students may have and start posting this out first. And once like students actually see, oh, they're addressing our concerns, then they would be more willing to send in questions and ask us questions because they can see we're actually answering to them. So I believe the first step will be the SRC taking initiative and reaching out first before the students can come to us, because the SRC is supposed to be accessible, and we can do that by reaching out first. Yeah.
Thanks, Kel.
All right. Now we're gonna go back to Andrea. This is a question about your mental health week. So, one of actually previously the SRC has planned mental health week. In fact, we tried in the 13th SRC, but it failed after 2 to 3 months of planning and negotiation due to issues with a psychologist and issues with management and organization. How do you plan to pass this event, considering that it has been turned on by the school in the past?
Well, I can actually like separate this question into two different questions, one for the psychologist and one for the organization and management. So first, I would like to answer the management part of this question. So again, as I said before, I'm a part of quite a lot of NGOs, and being a part of these NGOs required me to like learn how to really manage my time and manage my priorities. Because actually, since I was young, like since my dad works as a pilot, he likes to treat everyone in our family as if we were his plane's crew members. So as a pilot or someone who works for the aviation agency, being late or being unorganized should never be an option. because once you're late or unorganized, then it won't just affect you, but it will affect everyone in your team and even your passengers. So for my dad's sort of boot camp, I learned how to not only respect my dad's favor of always being on time, but I learned also how to organize both my time schedule, my priorities, and basically just how to manage everything in my life. So I feel like for the management and organization part of this event, I have it quite under control because it's something that I've been practicing ever since I was young. And for the second question, for the psychologist, so one thing that most people don't know about me is that I have a brother, and he was actually diagnosed with ADHD and autism from a young age. So because of this, he wasn't able to speak Indonesian or like a language that most people knew. So he had to go for tutoring with speech therapists and especially English teachers and English psychologists, because again, English is one of the many few language that's very easy to learn for people with these disorders. So for the English speaking psychologist, I just want everyone who asked that question to know that I have connections. I have the number of those people because they've talked to me before, they've talked to my family before, they've talked to my brother before. And this event is actually something that I hold pretty close to my heart. It's something that I take personally and am passionate about because even like now I take psychology, right? And I'm pretty sure my psychology teacher knew and knows that I'm really passionate about like mental health disorders, raising awareness about mental health disorder, because today especially I feel like there's a really big stigma when it comes to talking about mental health disorder, because people have this certain schema in their brains when it comes to talking about people who have disorders, and they just think like, oh, only people who can speak a certain way has a disorder, but that's not always the case. Sometimes, for example, with females who have autism, they're able to mask their disorder and pretend like they're okay while actually they're not. So I truly believe that through this event, through this mental health awareness week, we'll really be able to raise awareness not only for the whole mental health community, but also against the stigma of mental health disorders and against people who think that mental health is something that you should take really lightly, because it's a really difficult topic to talk about in real life.
Thanks, Dea. All right, next question for Althea. So this is about the silent rooms. This was proposed in SR 2 years in a row, but was rejected because, according to higher ups, it would encourage noise in the library as they would not need to consider those that are studying. So how do you plan to pass the proposal despite all these concerns?
First of all, thank you for showing interest in the silent rooms. That really means a lot to me. Second of all, I think there's sort of a misunderstanding about these silent rooms. So my initial idea was to allocate a room or in the library, not it's like it's not exactly in the library, but it's next to it, or it can be a classroom somewhere along the corridor. And these silent rooms, I actually got this idea growing up in Singapore. So I always went to the library, and there was this room where everyone just sat down and studied. And there was no talking allowed. Everyone just had to sit down, get their work done, get their homework done, study for tests. They could do whatever as long as there was no noise. And I really, really, really think that ACS needs this. I do understand that in the library, people will talk and it's very loud. I'm sure everyone here can agree with me. It's getting louder by the years. So I think having the silent room where students can literally just focus on homework or studying would be amazing for ACS. And I don't think this similar idea or this exact same idea was proposed by the SR. I think my idea was sort of is the original one. So hopefully this answers your question. It's like an entirely original thing that just came to me one day. Yeah.
So my question is not actually about the feasibility, but actually in welfare, they proposed for something called a lecture hall study hall. How does your proposal differ from this lecture hall study room?
Lecture hall study room.
Yes.
I'm not too sure about this initiative because I'm not in welfare. I'm in charity department. But so you're questioning the feasibility of the idea, or
no, I'm not questioning the feasibility. I'm questioning how is it going to be any different to the proposal that's already been approved but couldn't be implemented because of COVID-19 and everything?
Oh, okay. So hopefully, if I do get elected as school captain, the COVID-19 would be over. And instead of using the lecture hall, this is just going to be a classroom. I think why the lecture hall idea was not approved was because it's used by grade 12s and grade 11s, grade 9s too. It's a mass gathering place, so it's used quite often, and it's used for lectures as well. I mean, it's called lecture hall. What I'm proposing is to use a spare classroom or a spare room in ACS, something that's unused. Yeah, one of my goals in ACS is to just make it a second home. And to make it a second home, you need to use your school facilities more. There are a lot of idle facilities in ACS that just aren't being tapped. And I think that silent rooms can sort of help us use the school facilities in a better and more productive way.
All right, thank you for your answer. Next up is for Shania. So this question is in relation to more days for club CCAs. How do you plan to, get that passed, given that we have sport CCAs every other day? And I'm pretty sure Mr. Nazi is not really that open to have opening more days of CCAs, given that we fought tooth and nail for Wednesdays only, and that was already hard enough.
I think that I will try to be propose it in a way where it's kind of like the students are given more opportunity to go join more clubs, because having it only on Wednesdays, I had to give up math Olympiads for MPC, and I don't think that's quite fair if someone is really passionate about more than one club. So maybe if all the club members agree we want to meet on Tuesday, I don't think that should be that big of a problem, because I understand that a club requires a TIC, but I believe that as secondary students, we are already quite old enough that we can manage ourselves to an extent. So maybe if the teachers are busy or unavailable, they don't have to come every single club meeting, but then the students have to be more responsible in updating their TICs. And then also, I definitely think that the majority of clubs should still be on Wednesdays, because that's the only day that there's no other CCAs or sports CCAs, because I totally believe on the importance of sports CCAs. Like I myself am part of the swim team. So I think that this is just, for example, they want to start a charity club to do some charity work with the environment or with mental health, like Andrea is talking about, to raise awareness. They can do meetings on Thursdays, or they can do meeting on Tuesdays. I don't think that's that big of a problem if they get permission and their TIC is going to be aware that they are doing that.
All right, thanks, Shan. And for Kelly, about your game night, how will you ensure that a large majority of the student body will participate in these voluntary games, especially since games like Among Us and Mafia have a limited amount of players? Voluntary events also have varying levels of success, like the golf tournament versus the Minecraft tournament. It's really dependent on how many people participate. So yeah, how will you ensure that it's popular and people will participate and make it successful?
So yeah, definitely for the game night, this is definitely voluntary for people who actually want to join. I feel like it's a very good opportunity for especially new students in 10 commitment, because yeah, games is something that really connects us all. And regarding for like the bigger, larger student body, not all people play games for sure, right? So why? One of my other ideas were to have more of these small events, or like it can be activities, workshops, or tournaments of like chess, or it could be um just different screenings and different game nights. So yes, sure, game nights are one of the ideas. And if we do not get a lot of people joining them, there's other events, small events we can do, because the purpose of game night, or the bigger goal, is to actually find people, their community, to find people. So if game aren't their thing, there are other events we could do to make sure these people find their community. And the thing about having a really big, large room is that it's not personal. And this kind of now what I'm going for, I want to make more personal and closer connection, so it actually lasts. Their friendship actually lasts. So I think that having smaller rooms is actually not a problem, but it's actually a benefit. So these can be more long lasting, like I said before, and yeah, so we can focus on more but smaller events in a way. Yeah.
All right, thank you for all your answers. Now we're going to go into our last and final question, which is unlike any of the other questions we've asked before. Say something nice about the other three candidates in this room right now. Let's start with Kelly. Oh wait, Shania first, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so I definitely can say a lot of nice things about all of you, because I think Althea is like a really smart person and she's really diligent in when she was working. And I think Kelly is a very relatable person. And then she actually really grew a lot from being in the SRC. Like she was able to gain self-confidence. She was able to be more responsible. And I really admire that they, even though she's new, she's really pushing the boundaries and trying to um, actually change the school for the better, even though she's quite new. Like she's taking this as an opportunity, and she's not letting the fact that she's new hinder her from running for like the MCC captain or running from the for the SRC captain. So I think I really admire that she has the self confidence, and then Kelly has like her ability to make everyone feel really accepted, and Althea is able to work really hard.
Andrea, you're next.
Okay, so first, I would just like to thank whoever asked this question because I feel like sometimes having a campaign, it makes us think too much about ourselves and it makes us like forget about the other candidates. I feel like this is a really good opportunity for us to just again appreciate those who we're running with, because I feel like in this captaincy race, it's not something where, oh, I'm running against Shania, I'm running against Kelly, Althea, but it's more to like we're all moving towards the same goal of making ACS a better place. That's why I'm saying that all of us are running together, not against each other. So yeah. So first for Shania, again, I've said this in my preliminary speech, not speech, but Q&A before that. I really admire the way that Shania is just so determined and passionate, especially about her ideas and plans for the SRC. And yeah, whatever she plans, I can honestly actually see it happening in real life because of just how determined she is. And that's also actually one thing that motivates me to become more determined, especially in the SRC, by planning new events and just running things the way I think should be best. And then for Kelly, I just love the way that she's so joyful, passionate, how she's so like it's really comforting to talk to her for some reason. Like if you talk to her, you can snap relate with her. It's not like you're talking to a stranger. It feels like you're talking to someone you knew all your life. And for Althea, like, dude, I don't know where to begin. Again, like Shanya said, she's smart. She can organize everything really well. How I know this because I was with her in HMCA and we were in the same conference together. So I really saw the way she prepared for everything and how like yeah, she's just a very organized person, and I can really see her succeeding in her life and in her future.
Okay, next, Althea.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, like, my heart is smiling right now. Like, I don't really know what to say, but yeah, just thank you. And if I have to say something nice about everyone, like all the candidates here today, first off, I think I really admire how Shania's brave and she actually will actually be determined to help the SRC. I really admire how she's so dedicated to it and how, yeah, she just wants to make the SRC a better place. And for Kelly, yes, I agree with everyone else. She has this air of joyfulness and just helping everyone feel like they're in like a positive bubble. That's like I've known Kelly since like primary school, and we used to be like so close. And yeah, like even in basketball, she would just be so cheerful all the time. And for Andrea, definitely, I also admire how she's brave and like courageous to speak up about issues such as mental health. And yeah, like we were in agency together, and I just have to say that Andrea is like a very, very brave person. She'll actually speak up for issues such as mental health and like inequality. So that's something that I would like something nice I would say about everyone.
Okay, last but not least, Kelly.
Yeah. No, it's I just want to start with Andrea, that I loved your ideas, especially when I saw you had this TEDx Youth Asia Jakarta Plastic Free Month. I was so excited when looking at your ideas. I'm like, yes, this is something that we can definitely do and definitely something. Yeah, just like I love how you're so passionate about all these campaigns and cause, because sometimes in a world where there's like so much problems, being so advocate about and passionate about something can be really difficult. And I really admire how much you post in your Instagram stories all about these campaigns and all these issues. I can really see how much you're into them, and I really admire that about you. And Althea, well, yeah, like you said, we've been together in basketball for the longest time, and you're always motivated and you're always there to cheer me up. You guys all said like I had this positive bubble, but to be honest, all of you have that too. You guys really motivate me, and through this campaign period, you guys have been so supportive too. Um, and Shania, we've been together since the beginning of SRC, and as Shania said, I was not always the most confident person, and I had a lot of like issues, but Shania was always there for me. Shania will always have your back, and personally, I know how driven and how motivated Shanna is doing all her projects. I've been there, I've seen her work, I've seen her stressed late into the night doing her projects because she really cares about SRC and the work she's doing. So I can really say about that. And I just can say that doing this campaign has been really fun. I saw Althea's ideas too about the student, faculty, teacher. I love that idea because like I'm really into like building more relationships with teacher. And when I saw your idea, I was just like, oh my God, this would be so fun. And I'm really glad we all did this because seeing your ideas and having all this, um, a lot of these ideas, it just really made me more excited and yeah, made me excited to work with you guys next year, no matter what happens. Yeah. Thank you. I like discussion. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to all the candidates for all your answers. I think this was a nice way, a nice kind of laid back way to get to know your ideas and your thoughts a bit more. And thank you to everyone who sent in their questions. We had some really good ones today. And this brings us to the end of our discussion. Don't forget to vote on Friday.